Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Frankly Speaking Bucks. Oh, am I fired up tonight? What a great show we have for you, and boy, it only gets better and better and better. We are in about 30 minutes. I'm going to have special guest, former Tampa Bay Buccaneers center is going to be Randy Grimes joining us live, and what an unbelievable story Randy Grimes has about his 10-year career in the NFL with our Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And, it talks about addictions that he had. It's just an incredible story. Definitely an interview you do not want to miss. Now, we're going to talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, obviously, today. We obviously we'll break down what happened last game. Tomorrow night, we'll break down the preview and we'll go over that. But before we get to our Tampa Bay Buccaneer news, we couldn't go today without, congratulating one of our Tampa teams, the Tampa Bay Lightning, who, if you have not known by now, I don't know what you've been doing, have won the Stanley Cup. And we want to congratulate the Tampa Bay Lightning on an unbelievable display of championship professionalism and winning the cup. And what better way to do it than to let you hear the final call by our very own Dave Mishkin. Let's hear it, guys.
Sagan shoots wide left, 15 seconds left. Rebound Radulov by the net. Right circle Haskinen, right point Klingberg shoots. Blocked! It's out of the zone! Into the neutral zone! 8 seconds left! Barkley Goodrow after it! Shoots wide, right of the open net. Time ticks down! The Lightning win the Stanley Cup! They have reached the top of the mountain! They are the Stanley Cup champs!
Wow.
Wow, indeed. What a great call by the play announcer, Dave Mishkin of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Congratulations, Tampa Bay. That's one of them. That's one of the three we're looking for in this championship trifecta. And also, before we get to Buccaneer news, let's not forget to congratulate the Tampa Bay Rays, who today beat the Toronto Blue Jays to move on to the American League Divisional Series. We're not sure who they will play, but they won the series 2-0. Unbelievable. Hunter Renfroe with a grand slam. Mike Zunino with a 2-run homer. Tyler Glasnow, unbelievable pitching performance. Goes 6 innings, strikes out 8, gives up 2 runs. So congratulations to our very own Tampa Bay Rays for getting to the ALDS. So great things happening right now. In Tampa Bay, it's incredible. It's just incredible. But just incredible. And one of the fans, about the Dave Mishkin call, just came on and said, should have been listening to. I'll tell you what, Dave Mishkin is by far the best. We are so happy to have him here in the Tampa Bay area. But, to go on, we're going to be talking about Tampa Bay football here. And last week, Randy Grimes will be joining us in about 15 minutes. We do want to let you know that tonight's show is brought to you by Rent-A-King. Rent-A-King, 609 West Brandon Boulevard in Brandon, Florida. Don't forget this week, the Freaky Fall Sale at Rent King, Thursday, October 1st through Saturday, October 3rd, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. You get freaky deals, free snacks and refreshments and free prizes, and you can enter to win a 65-inch 4K smart TV. Only at Rent King, only in Brandon, Florida, 609 West Brandon Boulevard. Don't forget, and also our other sponsor, let's not forget, the original Beef O'Brady's, located in Brandon, Florida, on the corner of Kings Boulevard and Oakfield Drive. Great food, great drinks, great service. You got to go to the original Beef O'Brady's, and that's where I was when we won the championship, the Lightning did, on the other night. I believe it was Tuesday night. But let's go over and let's go right into, Tampa Bay and the Buccaneers with a very, very great win this weekend. I don't care what people says. It was a convincing win, 28-10. Tom Brady, Tom Brady will, definitely had his better game, 297 yards passing, 25 of 38, 3 touchdowns, great performance. He hit several different receivers. You got to see the emergence of Rob Gronkowski. Everybody's crying, where's my tight ends? Where's my tight ends? Where's my tight ends? Well, he was targeted like 8 times, had 5 receptions, just an unbelievable game by Rob Gronkowski. O.J. Howard with a beautiful catch. Scotty Miller came out, had a great catch. The defense limited Denver to only 69 yards rushing. The big loss in this game had to be that of wide receiver Chris Godwin, who has a hamstring injury and will be out a couple of games. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But what a homecoming for Shaq Barrett. I mean, you got to give Shaq Barrett lots and lots and lots of credit. He comes back after having 19 and a half sacks last year, comes back home to Denver, has 2 of the 6, and that's right, 2 of the 6 sacks by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he was named NFC Player of the Week. Just a great performance by Shaq Barrett. Ryan Sutcliffe. Everybody was worried. Whoa, I'm kicking game. Forget about your kicking game. 2 for 2 on field goal attempts. The big thing for the Buccaneers that they're going to have to calm down on the amount of penalties. Even though in a decisive win, they had 9 penalties for 71 yards, and the offensive line did allow 2 sacks, but I thought overall the offensive line did a good job protecting Tom Brady. Obviously they didn't open up a bunch of holes to allow the running game, which was, seemed like it was transparent, over the weekend. As I look at a message here, one of the Tommy from Temple Terrace wants to know, are we concerned? Welcome to the show, by the way, Tommy. Great to have you with us again today, buddy. Want to welcome Eric to the show as well. Want to also welcome Rob to the show. Lots and lots and lots of people on the show tonight. I'm not worried about Leonard Fournette. You'll see Fournette in there Wednesday or Thursday. And, that's the one thing about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is they have depth. They have depth at the running back position. Should Leonard Fournette not be able to go, which I believe he will be able to go, it's not going to be an issue. You got Ronald Jones, you got LaShawn McCoy, lots and lots of depth on this team. But I think, as of now, they're expecting Leonard Fournette to go this weekend here in Tampa. Now, there will be a limited number of fans at the stadium. I'm not sure how they're doing it. Something with the ticket holders, and you guys all know about that. But, I think overall when you look at this team on Sunday, you got to see a team that still has things to work on. But, when this offense finally does catch up to the defense, what an incredible team this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team is going to be. Some people question the play calling, it's hard for me to question anything with 2-1. We're in first place in the NFC South. We need to be happy as fans, and we're going to get better. We're not even playing great football yet. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, just incredible. The amount of pressure we put on Driscoll, I know they brought Ripien in for a little bit at the end, but was incredible. Just incredible. When you look at Barrett, you look at Sue. I mean, Antoine Winfield Jr., what can you say about this guy? This guy is just incredible. Then you got Devin White. Bunting went out. People step up. Antoine moves over. You got Whitehead that played a good game. Every single person on that defense, we're getting more to this aggressive style defense where we have an attack and swarm the ball at all costs. And that's what you need in the NFL. This is a Todd Bowles. What I was a little surprised at Todd Bowles that he actually put, blitzes on as much as he did in this game. And he didn't utilize one guy. He blitzed from everywhere, whether it was, Barrett coming in, whether it was Winfield from all the way out coming in, whether it was Whitehead. He just, every single place, just incredible pressure, incredible defense. Now, still a couple of plays, we got, it scares me on, this pass defense. And I know near the half, we gave them some points. Seemed like we went into more of a prevent style defense near the half. And I hate that. But nevertheless, we came out, we got a victory. And it was, a very, very good victory. Let's go back to the text line. And Tommy, again, you coming up with some, and, we were just talking about that, Tommy. I don't think there's going to be much difference. Justin Herbert, a young quarterback, he's obviously in there because of the mishap with Tyrod Taylor and the injection that he got that collapsed his lung. But let me tell you something. This Herbert is a good quarterback. He is a good passer. We have to put just as much pressure on him. Anytime you get these young guys and you put some pressure on you and you force them to make a couple mistakes, it gets into their head, and it's amazing, how much it carries our defense. This is a game, and we're going to talk more about this game in depth tomorrow. By the way, for those of you joining us on the Crew Life platform or whatever platform you're on, if you take a quick second, we're about 5 minutes away from having former center Randy Grimes of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on with us. Can you please share this to your timeline? It'll only take 1 minute. Please share this to your timeline. This is not just an interview about the NFL and a player that played in the NFL. This is about life. This is an incredible interview. You never know who will be listening to this interview that possibly could have their life saved because they're listening. It's just an incredible interviews. And some of you people that have been on my show before, when we talk to former athletes that have had to deal with addiction, there's been incredible stories. I've gotten many comments on different platforms. So please do me a favor. It'll take you 1 second. Just share it to your timeline. Please do that for me. And then tomorrow night, like I said, we will break down the game, I still call them San Diego, the Los Angeles Chargers versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Gilbert Manzano, the LA Chargers beat writer for the LA Daily News, will be joining us live tomorrow. Our show starts at 9 p.m. We'll break down, we'll do our picks for week 4 of the NFL as well. So lots and lots of information. We'll try to get Buckdad on again, JT Buckdad Bowers, our very popular fantasy football guru, who will tell you who you can play and who you should sit based on his knowledge. So great show tomorrow night. Great show tonight. But when you look at this team right now, and it seems like, and I don't want to knock it, we just won a championship. Tampa Bay Rays showing us that they don't want it to stop with the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they just got moved on to another series. Now it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers' turn, and I'm telling you what, it is an unbelievable, momentum and enthusiasm that's going on around this city right now. And Tampa Bay, you have not seen the best of your Tampa Bay Buccaneers yet. I thought Brady played a great game. You get people that love Brady, you get people that hate Brady, but it's about time you lay off the guy. The guy did an incredible job. give the offensive line credit. Everybody's giving crap to Donovan Smith week 1, but I don't hear anybody saying how well of a job he's done the next 2 weeks. Wirfs, for the first time all year, made a mistake or two, but that's fine. He's human. He proved it. This team, we're going into game 4. They've only played 3 games together, and it's going to be amazing what this team can do. This Chargers team has been in most of their games, whether they've blown leads or not blown leads. It's going to be a lot tougher game than it was playing Denver. So don't think that, this is just one of those easy games. Now, remember, we play Sunday, and then we come back and play, I believe it's Thursday night, right away. We come back and play the Chicago Bears. So, this is going to be an incredible, incredible week. We're about 3 minutes away from, I got one of the people on the line saying Smith made a lot of mistakes last week. Let me explain something to you. Smith did not make a lot of mistakes last week. The media has a way of blowing things up. The media knows all this pressure is on Donovan Smith. The media knows Tampa Bay has a bunch of haters on Donovan Smith. So they highlight Donovan Smith. You don't see every play that he makes a great, great block. You don't see that all the time. You don't see on a touchdown pass who's doing the quick pass blocking so a Mike Evans can get in the end zone or this or that. You got to understand and give credit to Mike Evans. They finally are starting to use Michael Evans the way Michael Evans should be used. Okay? His size, his power. And, it's got to be used. He had 2 catches for 2 yards, but 2 touchdowns. Michael Evans needs to be the go man when you're on the goal line. He has the height. He used the strength. Finally, and we talked about this 2 weeks ago, how Michael Evans needs to use his body, and he finally did. We're about 2 minutes away from having Randy Grimes joining us. Okay, he says he thinks he's ready, so let me tell him to come on. He just texted me. I'm waiting. It's tough to spell when you're doing a show. So we'll give him a couple minutes to get on, and we will be talking to the great Randy Grimes. So as we do that, let me go ahead and type a couple of things in here real quickly while he's joining us. All right. Former. All right, I think I got that. So we'll give him a couple of seconds to get on, make sure he's on his way. Let's see what he's saying. Let me tell him to come. All right. So we're telling him, we're letting him know how to get on right now. So while we're waiting for him to come on, we'll go ahead and look at some of our great texts we'll get in tonight. Brent isn't getting utilized besides the blocking from what I've seen. You know what? We mentioned this already. We do not need, we have a different team here. We got some unbelievable wide receivers. Cameron Braid, unfortunately, right now, at this time, does not fit in to, what we are doing. He's being used more predominantly as a back and as a blocking guy. But right now, when you have O.J. Howard and you have Rob Gronkowski, he's going to take a back seat. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, it is my great honor, it is my great thrill to introduce to you on, as I find my mouse here, there we go, on the Frankly Speaking Sports Hotline and Crew Life Hotline, please welcome in former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, Randy Grimes. Randy, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. Can you hear me okay?
Randy, I hear you perfect. Can you hear me?
I can, for sure.
All right, then we're doing a lot better than I thought already. So, Randy, first of all, thanks for coming on. It's a great pleasure to have you. I know I've been trying to get you on now for a while, and I want to go ahead and I want to start back in your football days because we have a remarkable story here, as you and I both know, and I want to start at the beginning. You're the 45th pick in the 1988 draft. I believe it's round 2. Relive the moment, what it was like, after all that hard work to finally be drafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, you know what? I was just thinking about this the other day. I still remember we were in Waco, Texas. I'm a Baylor graduate, and me and my wife were at Baylor, and it was draft day. And I had heard that there were several teams that I might have gone to. Being a Texas boy, I'd heard I might go to the Cowboys, and there was some talk about maybe going to St. Louis and all that. So, I really didn't know what was going to happen. But I remember sitting there, and I remember that phone ringing. My wife was sitting right beside me. And it was Coach John McKay. And I still remember picking up that phone and hearing, "Hey, Randy, this is John McKay. We just drafted you in the second round. I'll see you tomorrow. Click." And I was like, whoa, wait, Coach, where's Tampa Bay?
So let me ask you this.
We were so excited because, that was Tampa had just come off a playoff year in '82. So we were going to a playoff team, and, being a kid from East Texas, I'd never even seen the ocean. So going to the seaside community of Tampa, Florida was exciting for us, not only to start my career in professional football, but we had just been married for over a year, and we were excited to start our families together in that community.
So, Randy, talk about the transition from going from Baylor to going to the NFL. And, you hear, and we're going to talk a little bit about this later on the mental side of it, but from a playing perspective, talk about the difference in the size of the players, the speed, the skill, just an incredible difference. And how did you adapt to that change?
Well, the game got so much bigger, stronger, and faster just from high school to college. And the transition from college to the pros was, there's no words to really describe it. The guys are so good. They're so fast. They're so big. They're so strong. They're so football smart. They're just so savvy. And to be in a locker room as a young, it blew my mind that somebody was going to pay me money to play a game that I would have gladly played for free. But to be in a locker room with guys like Leroy Selman and Doug Williams and James Wilder and Hugh Green and all those great players that we had when I got there, it was just, it was an unworldly experience. And for my first start, my rookie year, to be against the guy that I'd been watching for years on TV with the Dallas Cowboys, Randy White, it was just, I just couldn't believe that I was in this world and having these kind of opportunities to play against guys like that.
Yeah, and you talked about some of the great Buccaneers, and I looked up, and you mentioned some of them, but you played with guys like Jerry Bell, Scott Brantley, Jimmy Giles, Dave Logan, let's not forget Leroy Selman, James Wilder, and there was others as well. I think John Cannon was on that team as well. I mean, when you look at the players you had on that team, Was it disappointing for you that the one thing you never had the opportunity to do when you were with the Buccaneers was go to the playoffs?
Absolutely. And, I came in every year thinking that was going to be the year. I would come in and I would be just that optimistic because I always thought we were, if anything, we maybe were one or two players short, of being the best team in the NFC. And I always came in with the optimism that was going to be the year. We were going to, all the injuries were going to work out. The football was going to bounce in our favor. We were going to win some of those games, but it never happened. And the 10 years that I was with the Bucs, I had 5 different head coaches. I had 6 different offensive line coaches and probably 8 different quarterbacks get up underneath me in those 10 years. So we were a revolving door that decade. And, when you have that kind of inconsistency, and even in the front office, the rollover up in the front office, when you have that kind of inconsistency, it's hard to get anything going. And, I always said, even back when I played, we needed to change everything. We needed to change the logo, the colors, the pencils, stationery, everything, because we were just snake bit in the 80s and early 90s. We just couldn't seem to get rolling at all. And, man, we had some great players. Think about all the great quarterbacks that came through there and great running backs and wide receivers and DBs and linebackers. Man, we had a ton of talent. We just could never get to that next level for whatever reason.
Now, Randy,
poor drafts had a lot to do with it.
Right. Now, when you first came into the league, everybody has that one player when they're drafted that you come onto the team and they kind of take you under their wing and shows you the rope. Who was that guy for you?
Oh, that was Steve Wilson and Scott Brantley for sure.
Yeah, two great players. Now, I want to ask you, a lot of people don't understand, when they think of offensive linemen, whether it's a center, a guard, a tackle, they don't understand the amount of beating you take on every given play. I used to be taught, and, I did some works, obviously I did some works back in the late 80s with the Miami Dolphins on the coaching staff, and I was always told by Don Shula, on every single play, one person wins and one person loses. So especially from the offensive, on an offensive line, you lose one, you go back up there, you better win the next one. I mean,
that's right.
Tell the people out there, the listeners and all the fans, how difficult playing center was on the human body.
Well, people ask you all the time about all the beatings and the damage that you must have taken. And, I try to explain that it was my job to dish out the beatings and the damage, you're going to get beat up. You're going to get rolled into. You're going to, there's going to be things that happen that are out of your control. But you know what? You do your job and you do it the best you can, and you keep your feet moving, and you know what you're doing, and you play with every ounce of fiber that you have on every play, because if you don't, you are going to get your clock cleaned and you are going to get hurt. But, I always give guys like Leroy Selman and Dave Logan credit for making me the offensive lineman that I was, because those guys worked me in practice. They taught me how to be a better offensive lineman. And if I didn't get better because of those guys, it was either get better or go home, because, you had to grow up quick. I had to grow up real quick when I got to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because I found out real quick that it wasn't a game anymore. It was a job.
Right. Now, later on in your career, Randy, and, I know you worked hard to overcome everything, but you got into some painkillers. Why don't you explain to the listeners, because I want to talk in depth a little bit, because I know you're doing a lot to assure that other people could get help if they do. And we're going to go into detail on that. But why don't you start off by telling people how it all started? I mean, you were playing football, obviously, with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but I'll let you run with it and tell the listeners how it all came about.
Well, and another thing that I was always good at when I got to that locker room in Tampa Bay, I was always good at keeping my mouth shut and listening. And, I listened to the older guys. I listened to the guys like Leroy and Dave Logan and Hugh Green and those guys that were playing at such a high level year after year after year and able to feed their families playing a kid's game and doing it at an Pro Bowl level. And that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be the best center that ever played the game. I wanted to play the game on my own terms. I wanted to not miss a single play in any practice or any game. And so I listened to those guys. And one of the things I learned to do very early was do whatever I had to stay out on the field. And I was not going to be that guy who was always back in the training room, always on the injury report, always on the doctor's list to be seen, always being worked on by trainers, always missing practice. I was not going to be that guy. So what did that look like for me? It looked like taking handfuls of pain pills every day to stay out on the practice field, to stay out on the game field. And I was not going to let anybody else in my position. I was not going to give anybody else an opportunity to take my job. I was going to be the best center. And I was going to work through any injuries or any pain that I was having. And, I looked at it like when I was throwing down those handfuls of pain pills every day before practice or before games, I looked at it like a necessary evil. I was getting it from the team trainers, so it must be okay, right? Or I was getting it from the team doctors or teammates, so that just must be the culture of the NFL. That's the way I looked at it. It was a necessary evil to feed my family, to be the best center that I could be. That's how I justified it. And what was really a full-blown addiction, I was just looking at like a necessary evil to stay out on the field and not let anybody else in my position to play every snap of every game and every practice.
Yeah, and you said several times, and I've heard you on some interviews and things like that, where there was actually certain games you didn't remember where you had to go the next day and actually watch the game on film to remember what happened. You kind of blacked out, I think, is the terminology you used. And I've had several athletes on my show before. One being Randy Lurch, who was a pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies, got an addiction to painkillers, and one of the most famous shortstops at that time, Larry Bowa, said, I never, ever knew all the time that he was doing it, that he was doing it. Were there any players on your team? I mean, here you are, you're blacking out, you're not remembering what's going on. Was there any players who recognized that you might have had an issue and that offered to come to your side to help you?
Well, and that's true what you said. The last couple of years of my career, I was taking so many painkillers, so many opiates, and so many benzodiazepines before games that I was playing the entire game, and I would a 1:00 game on Sunday, and I would be laying on the couch at home, starting to come to at around 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night that same night. And I would be all beat up and dehydrated and scratched up and fingernails all torn up and everything that you are after an NFL football game. And I didn't remember a single play. And that's what that necessary evil progressed to. And that was the last couple of years of my career. And it's, not one time in the 10 years or really 8.5 years that this was all going on. Not one time did anybody come up to me and say, Randy, why are you slurring your words? Or Randy, why are you nodding off in meetings? Or Randy, why are you late to practice every day? Or Randy, why are you the last to leave the building every day and pills are missing out of the drug safe? Nobody ever asked those questions because I was always playing good. And everybody just allowed it to, if anybody had any suspicions, they just allowed it to go on another week because I was always playing good. Even when I was playing in those blackouts and I didn't remember playing a single down and I would have to wait till the next morning and watch it on film with everybody else at the team meeting, I always played good and nothing was ever said.
Now, Randy, I know this might be a silly question, but you mentioned that you were playing well, and I've heard this before from other athletes. We're playing well, so as long as we're playing well, they keep their mouth shut because they don't want to lose me as my ability as a player. But am I silly to say, isn't that doing more harm to the athlete overall from a life perspective? I mean, we saw the Angels pitcher OD on, I think it was opioids last year or the year before, and it killed him. I mean, at the end of the day, when do we say, there's stuff more important than getting up, in front of the quarterback and snapping the ball?
Well, of course, you say something right when you know something. This is such life and death stuff. People die as a result of opiate addiction, benzo addiction, as a result of addiction in general. People die. So you say something as soon as you know something. And, my message now is, and has been for the last 12, 11 years since I've been in recovery, is that it's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to not raise your hand and ask for help. And, back in the 80s and early 90s, you could always blame it on the culture of the league. This is back in the, North Dallas 40 days. And,
Right.
and that mentality where, you patch somebody up, you shot them full of something, and you got them back out on the field. And right or wrong, I mean, obviously we know that's the wrong way to do it, but that was the culture back then. And I think since then, though, since I retired in '93, and I think that the culture of the league has changed a lot. There's a lot more accountability, not only to concussions and player injuries, but also the way that narcotics are distributed. They're not doled out off-label prescribed like they were back when I was going through, and there's a lot more accountability. So I think that we've come a long way. I think the NFL's come a long way. And let me say this too, I don't ever blame the Bucks for anything. I mean, I'm responsible for everything that I put in my body, and I don't hold them responsible for any of this. I mean, did they make it unwittingly make it available? Yes. I mean, it was there. All I had to do was get in an open drug safe. And if it was ever locked, we had three white guys that started on defense, Mark Cotney, John Cannon, and Scott Brantley. And their jersey numbers were the combination to the drug safe if I ever wanted in there. And that never changed the whole 10 years that I was there. But, that was just kind of the culture there. And I don't hold them responsible at all. They didn't cause this. And, I mean, Randy Grimes is responsible for that.
Now, we talked about how you got involved in it, Randy. How did it finally come to a halt? I mean, you're doing it, and then all of a sudden, the next thing you know, now you're helping people.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of pain and suffering in between there. I remember my last coach, Sam Weish. I remember after the '92 season, we had come in after the last game, and we were cleaning out our lockers. We were going to have our exit meetings. We were going to watch the game film from the day before. And then pretty much, back then, you pretty much just kind of packed up your locker. You didn't see anybody again until minicamp started. And I was standing at my locker, and I remember Sam Weish walking by and putting his hand on my shoulder and saying, "Randy, your services won't be needed anymore." And I can remember thinking, wow, okay, that's how it ends. All the blood, sweat, and tears that I've left on football fields all over this country. And that's how it ends. A coach that I've only had for a year, that doesn't have any loyalties to me, who I really don't like, puts his hand on my shoulder, doesn't even stop long enough to look me in the eye, and tells me that my services won't be needed anymore. That's how it ends. And I remember just raking everything out of my locker into a black trash bag. I just taken my arm and just kind of swooping it all out into a black trash bag and walking out the back door. And Randy Grimes, the football player, didn't exist anymore. And the reason I bring that up is because I already had this rage and addiction going that I was still calling a necessary evil. But now you throw in the fact that I'm not Randy Grimes, the football player anymore, when I don't have that uniform to put on anymore, when I don't have that identity anymore, you throw that on the already raging addiction, then it was just like throwing fuel on a fire. And, for the next 15 or 20 years, not only did my injuries keep getting worse, the pain levels kept getting higher. The tolerance to the medication just kept getting higher. So I needed more and more pills all the time. In the next 15 years, I've just pretty much doctor shopped all over Houston. That was a full-time job for me. And that's where that necessary evil turned into that full-blown addiction that caused a lot of pain and a lot of suffering, not only for myself, but for my family, because I just couldn't stop doing it. I just couldn't put them down. I couldn't walk away. And, it didn't matter how many jobs I lost or cars I lost or houses I lost or relationships, the addiction always won out. And, finally, it was the spring of 2009. It was like the perfect storm was happening. I'd had a series of seizures as a result of withdrawal from all this medication. My good buddy McHale had just passed away. My daughter had just had my first grandchild, and she wouldn't let me come around because I wasn't fit to be around him. I'd lost another house and was sleeping in the floor of a vacant house. Mr. 1988 NFL Man of the Year, Mr. Second Round Draft Pick, was sleeping in the floor of an abandoned house. And so it was just that perfect storm in 2009. And I finally put my hand up and asked for help. And back then, the NFL didn't have a program for retired players as far as helping them with substance abuse. And it just so happened that whoever my wife called in New York knew somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody. And that's how I got on an airplane September 22nd, 2009, and flew out to Florida and took care of this thing once and for all.
And let me ask you, Randy, there's a lot of kids, and you'll understand what I mean. I call it pressure. They're in high school. They're the greatest football players in the world. The next level, obviously, is they go from high school to college. When they get to college, they realize, oh, crap, there's a lot more good players in college than there was in high school. Then there's some that do very well in college that go on to the NFL. And like when you went to the NFL, you go, whoa, this is a lot faster, stronger, skillable, whatever words you want to use. When you're teaching people about addiction that actually get addicted, are you dealing just with painkillers, or are you telling them about all types of addictions due to the pressures in daily life? And are you using your platform from your experiences in college and the NFL to explain that to them?
Absolutely. I mean, because it all goes together. And yeah, I talk a lot about opiate addiction, but addiction is addiction, whether it's alcohol, whether it's meth, cocaine, whether it's food, whether it's porn, whether it's gaming. Addiction is addiction, and it takes us all to the same places. So I talk about all kinds of addiction. I know I used to be the captain of the Bucks, and I would stand out in the middle of the old sombrero, and I would, during coin toss, and I would just look around at what 72,000 people look like in one place. And, that's how many people died last year just as a result of overdose on opiates. And you hear that stat a lot about the opiate epidemic that's going on in this country. But, also there's 88,000 people died as a result of alcoholism last year, or alcohol-related issues. And we don't even talk about the meth and the cocaine problems that kill people every year, or the prescription med problems. So, I mean, there's a pandemic going on within a pandemic. And, it's all about substance abuse, and it's about people self-medicating the trauma that they've been through. It seems like trauma, I can track trauma back to the start of everybody's addiction. There's some kind of trauma in there, or some kind of transitional issues. We as Americans, or we as humans, really, we don't transition very well, whether it be from a job into retirement, or in my case, leaving football or leaving the military and not having that uniform to put on anymore, leaving a broken home, even in some cases, college kids who graduate and can't find a job. We don't transition well. And what's the first thing that we do? We isolate and self-medicate. And, those are the kind of things that I talk about. And I talk about them with college athletes, the pressures that come along with being in sports, with being competitive, with being a type A personality, with being an alpha dog. There's going to be lots of pressures there, and you're going to be tempted to self-medicate. And and I talk a lot about steroids too. That's all part of it.
So we are talking to Randy Grimes, former center for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So Randy, for a young athlete that is going on to college, that is considering prolonging their career by taking pain pills, what message? I know every case is a different case, but what is a common message that you would tell them?
Well, and I'm not saying that there's not going to be a point somewhere in there where you're going to have to take some pain medication. You're going to have an injury. You're going to have surgery. You're going to have those occasions where you have to take something. And my message is just take as directed. Take under the supervision of a doctor. Be accountable to somebody. And and also when you're away from the field, be accountable. Be a role model. Don't be out in public drinking every night and getting to the point to where you're going to wind up in the papers the next day. With the way social media is right now, you just can't take that chance anymore. Even college athletes, even high school athletes. So, there's going to be a lot of pressure to be the best you can, whether it's coming from the coaching staff or whether it's coming from the media or whether it's coming from your own family, and you just got to keep doing the next right thing and being the best that you can and working every day to get a little better, because that's what everybody else is doing. And that's how you get to be that person who is bigger, stronger, faster, quicker, smarter at the next level.
Now, if any of our listeners out there, Randy, that are going through something, an addiction of any type, is there a website or some way for them to contact someone for help?
Yes, and I'm real easy to find. Of course, you can find me on Facebook at Randy Grimes, but also I have a nonprofit. It's called ProAthletesInRecovery.org, O-R-G. So you can find me there. You can find me at RandyGrimesSpeaks.com. And you can find me obviously on Instagram at SoberCenter60, Randy Grimes. And I'm always available. Listen, I say all the time, God didn't open the gates of heaven and let me in. He opened the gates of hell and let me out. And that's how I kind of feel about my story and what I went through. And I'm always available, not only to athletes, but anybody suffering with addiction. I'm there for them. I want to help them through it. And, I just want people to know that there's hope and there's help out there. And, I'm also, I want to talk a little bit, because I told you earlier that the NFL didn't have a program for former athletes. And that's why I started athletesinrecovery.org, is because I wanted to reach out to guys that I'd played with and against that I knew were struggling just like I was, self-medicating the injuries they got while they played pro ball. And, I was so successful in getting that launched and helping guys that it bled over into the Major League Baseball, to NHL, the NBA. I work with former jockeys. I work with MMA guys. I work with motorsport drivers, former athletes from pretty much every sport, golfers, tennis. But I also help anybody that wants to get free from this disease of addiction.
Terrific. Really terrific. Randy, before I let you run, I have to ask you, you played with the Bucs for 10 years. You still follow the Bucs on a yearly basis?
All the time. I'm passionate about the Bucs.
So I can't let you go without asking what you think about this. Obviously, unbelievable acquisitions and transactions we made in the offseason. How do you see the Buccaneers faring this year?
This is the year. I really think that this is the year. I think they can do it. I think they have the players lined up. I think they've got great talent at every position. I think they can afford one or two injuries and still be okay. I really think that this is the year. I'm a big Aaron's believer that coach is not only the right coach, but and even if Tom just has a year, 3 quarters as good as his former years, I think that we have enough talent around him to make up for his aging or whatever. Right now, he looks as good as he's always looked to me. So I believe that this is the year. We've got the players, we've got the coaches, we've got the right attitude. And listen, what a great place. Tampa, Florida is the best fan base in the country. And it's just going to all come together with Super Bowl being there this year. I am so excited about this year.
Yeah, I think all of us in the Tampa Bay area, about all our sports teams right now, are really, really excited.
It's crazy.
So you got the Lightning, the Rays won today to move on, and of course the high expectations with the Buccaneers. It's a great time to be a Tampa Bay fan.
Yes, it is.
Well, listen, Randy, I want to thank you so very, very much for taking time out of your schedule to join us on Frankly Speaking Bucks tonight. It's been an honor and a pleasure. And, anytime you ever want to come on here, put out a message about whatever it might be, you always have an open invitation.
Man, you're the best. I appreciate you very much. Thanks for this platform.
All right. You have a great night and be safe.
Thanks, buddy.
That was Randy Grimes, former NFL center for your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What a great, great, great interview that was with Randy Grimes. I'll tell you what, for those of you that are online right now on this platform watching, you are doing a big dissatisfaction if you don't share this with people that can definitely use help. Here is a guy that told you he is available whenever you need him to help you with any type of addiction you have. And addiction's a terrible thing. It's not just athletes, although there are a lot of athletes that have this issue, but it goes on every single day in people that aren't athletes' lives. Please share this interview with your friends. Please share it with groups that you belong to. If you never ever know if you could be saving someone's life, if you just impact one person by showing them this interview, you, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back right after this commercial break. Our sponsors.
Welcome to Rent King Sales and Lease Purchase. Rent King has quickly grown to become Florida's most popular choice for new furniture, appliances, computers, game systems, and consumer electronics. Our locally owned and operated business offers a selection of more than 10,000 name brand products through our flexible lease ownership plan. There's never a credit check at Rent King. You get instant approval, free same-day delivery, free product repairs, and you can purchase your leased products at any time using our exclusive Try It and Buy It 90 days same as cash plan or our king size early purchase discount. You'll always receive the highest level of service, the largest selection of brand name products, and the guaranteed lowest prices in town at Rent King Sales and Lease Purchase.
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking Sports. Once again, we want to thank our sponsors, Rent King, 609 West Brandon Boulevard, Brandon, Florida. Don't forget, starting tomorrow, listen to this, guys. It's the Freaky Fall Sale at Rent King in Brandon, Florida on 609 West Brandon Boulevard. Starts tomorrow, October 1st, goes all the way through Saturday, October 3rd, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. They have freaky deals, free snacks and refreshments, free prizes, and you can enter to win the grand prize, a 65-inch 4K smart TV, plus tons of other door prizes. Don't forget, the best renter place in the Brandon area, Rent King, 609 West Brandon Boulevard in Brandon. And also don't forget our other sponsor, the original Beef O'Brady's, located on the corner of Kings Boulevard and Oakfield Drive in Brandon, Florida. Great food, great drinks, great service. It's the original Beef O'Brady's. Ladies and gentlemen, what an incredible, incredible show we have had for you tonight. Just incredible. We got about 3 minutes left. If anybody wants to go ahead and leave a message, I mean, gosh, there's got to be comments now. In regards to the great show we already had today, go ahead and do so. If I see it, if you're on the platform, I'll definitely respond. But we do want to remind you that tomorrow night on the Frankly Speaking sports platform, we are going to have LA Chargers beat writer Gilbert Manzano is going to be joining us. He writes for the LA Daily News. What a great, great guy. Knowledgeable on the LA Chargers. And he's going to be breaking down the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with me and the LA Chargers this weekend. We'll talk about what to expect about Justin Herbert, about the team in general, and what we should expect this weekend as we face the LA Chargers. And you never know what other surprise guests we may have on our show. So a great, great, great show. We once again want to congratulate the Tampa Bay Lightning for this Stanley Cup championship. Just a great, great performance. All of us in the Tampa Bay area are very proud of the Tampa Bay Lightning. And let's not forget today, your Tampa Bay Rays, who won 8-2 after winning 3-1 yesterday. They went ahead and moved on to the American League Divisional Series. We'll find out soon. I believe they will be playing the winner of the Yankees versus Cleveland Indians series. So some great, great things happening in Tampa Bay. You got the Rays now trying to win that championship. The Buccaneers, you heard Randy Grimes talk about how excited and how he believes this is the year, as I do as well, for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So lots and lots and lots of great things. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you about a couple of things. Number one, don't forget that if you're not currently a member of Crew Life or Frankly Speaking Sports, go ahead and become a member. It doesn't cost anything. If you're on another platform and you're watching this show, you obviously enjoy it. It doesn't cost no money to join another group. No one's going to get upset that you belong to one group and you join another group. It's okay. Join the group. Enjoy the show. I mean, listen to those great interviews that we've been having the entire week for you. And we're going to continue to have these great, great interviews. Also, if you're a USF fan, make sure to join Bullseye, all capital letters, BULLS, and then space Eyes, Bullseye, EYE. It's the fastest growing University of South Florida athletic Facebook group out there. We had a great, great show next Tuesday night on the USF Bullseye show. We're going to have former kicker Santiago Gramatica, and we're also going to have Elgin Hicks, former wide receiver. So a double whammy on Bullseye coming up on Tuesday night. Once again, we want to thank our very special guest, Randy Grimes. Just an incredible, incredible interview. We want to thank him for joining us today, as well as our sponsors, Beef O'Brady's in Brandon, Florida, and Rent King in Brandon, Florida. To all you people, until next week on Frankly Speaking Bucks, good night, and we'll see you again.